Thank you and good morning. As Nor mentioned, my job really here this morning is just to introduce SNR Denton to you. SNR Denton is a client-focused global law firm with over 1,500 lawyers across 60 jurisdictions. The firm is, however, a new firm. It's the coming together of an American firm called Sonnenschein, Nath and Rosenthal and the UK firm Denton Wild Sapt. This occurred 2 years ago and essentially brought together what was a US-focused business with Denton Wild Sapt's London-based emerging markets-focused practice. And what that enabled us to do was really put on a global scale the sectors that we had focused on for many years. Because Denton Wild Sapt was the first law firm, the first international law firm really, to focus its lawyers on industry sectors. And your sector, the energy sector, was the first and one of the focal points for that process in the late 1990s. And so it is a matter of great pride for me that today I lead, in addition to the Environment and Safety team, our Energy, Infrastructure and Project Finance department in London, which has over 50 lawyers specialising in energy law, and that's now complemented globally by 3 times that number of lawyers that just practice energy law on a daily basis. So this environmental lawyer was in South Africa about a year ago. I was down here because, in fact, more broadly than the energy sector, a number of your environmental laws are evolving at the moment, and a number of them are following the footprint of EU environmental law. So I was here talking to South African companies about difficult issues such as the definition of waste that you guys are starting to grapple with now. In fact, we've been spending about 15 years dealing with that definition, and so what I was hoping to do was look at these words for South African companies and assist you and truncate that 15 years into about hopefully more like a 15-month discussion about what these words should mean when applied. So I was in South Africa and I dropped in on one of my clients, Total. I dropped in and I met Zahir Williams and we just had coffee. And it was then that I was put to the test, because every lawyer will tell you that they listen to their clients. Well, Zahir put me to the test that day, because we sat down and Zahir said to me, where we're really struggling at the moment in the oil and gas sector and the broader energy sector in South Africa is finding the capacity in local indigenous firms to provide us with the support that we need as an industry. It would be interesting if you, as Denton's, a firm that has worked for Total for over 80 years, could have a dialogue with who I consider to be the leading energy lawyer in South Africa, Nor Kapdi, to see whether there's any way that the two of you could work together to try and address that issue. That wasn't quite the conversation I was expecting to have with Zahir that day, but I did listen, and Zahir introduced me to Nor, and I'd like to thank Zahir for his vision, because without Zahir's vision, we wouldn't be here today. And from that moment, Nor and I got together, and it really became readily apparent to both of us what the potential was for growth here in South Africa and across the broader continent. So our goal, which starts here today, and today really is about telling you that Kapdi Twala, in association with SNR Denton, is open for business. We have the highest quality indigenous, but the highest quality energy lawyers on the ground in South Africa, but we can now, as SNR Denton, support that with the capacity of those 150 energy lawyers that I've mentioned already around the globe, and specifically bring in those lawyers from London to help build the platform here in South Africa. So we're open for business, but really the long-term strategy is to use this platform to develop a basis to increase the number of specialised indigenous South African lawyers that can pursue careers in South Africa and throughout Africa, and then more broadly globally in the energy sector. So the lawyers that you see here today, we have Charles Wood, who is sat at the table in the middle on the right-hand side. Charles Wood has long been recognised as one of the leading global energy lawyers. We have Jonathan Kahn from our Washington, D.C. office, who will be joining us later in the week. And we have another one of our energy partners, Paul Bajingo, who's currently based in Dubai. Now, Paul is one of the key architects of our Africa practice. And I mentioned right at the very beginning that Denton Wild Sapt was a London-based, emerging markets-focused law firm that structured itself around sectors, one of the key sectors being energy. Well, what I haven't told you about in any great detail is how focused we have been on Africa, and that's what I'd like to do now, is hand you over to Paul to talk about our Africa practice. Thank you.